The wall behind the VIP lounge was not supposed to be hollow. Maya Brooks knew that before she touched it. She stood alone beneath the red pulse of a malfunctioning fire alarm in the back of the Ember Room, Chicago's most exclusive underground club, with one palm pressed to black velvet wallpaper and the other wrapped around her thermal imaging scanner. Bass from the main dance floor thudded somewhere beyond the corridor, deep and expensive, shaking through concrete like a second heartbeat. The scanner showed heat where there should have been dead space. A room, hidden, sealed, and no visible exit. Maya stared at the screen, then at the velvet wall. Of course, she muttered. Because one illegal alarm bypass wasn't enough. The Ember Room had already failed her inspection 3 ways before midnight. Blocked secondary egress, unregistered suppression override, manual alarm pull stations rerouted through a private security panel instead of city dispatch. Any one of those would have been enough for Maya to shut the place down until sunrise. But a hidden room behind a VIP wall, that was no longer a code violation. That was intent. She set her flashlight between her teeth, worked a gloved hand along the wall trim, and found the pressure seam behind a brass decorative panel shaped like a flame. The club's design was all expensive darkness. Smoked mirrors, black marble, red light, velvet booths, champagne towers, dancers in silk, billionaires pretending they were not afraid of the men who owned the place. Maya did not belong there. She had arrived in a Navy Fire Department inspection jacket over a black blouse, dark slacks, steel-toed boots, and a badge clipped to her belt. She was 33, plus size, broad-hipped, full-bodied, and used to people underestimating the woman who showed up with a clipboard instead of a cocktail dress. Men saw her curves before they saw her credentials. Then they learned, often too late, that she could read a building better than they could read a contract. The seam clicked. The wall opened inward. Cold air rolled out. Not club air, not perfume and liquor and expensive cologne. Metal, bleach, burnt wiring. Maya lifted her flashlight. The beam landed on a metal chair bolted to the floor. Then another, then another. 4 chairs facing a wall of cameras. The room was narrow, soundproofed, and windowless. Its ceiling was low enough to feel like a hand pressing down. A ventilation grate sat above the chairs, but there was no sprinkler head, no emergency lighting, no exit sign, no panic hardware, no legal reason for the room to exist. On the far wall, a screen flickered awake. Rows of names appeared, women's names. Some had dates beside them, some had red marks, some had a single word, missing. Maya stopped breathing. She stepped closer. Her flashlight shook, despite the force she used to steady it. Names, addresses, workplaces, emergency contacts, surveillance stills, women leaving restaurants, walking into parking garages, stepping out of ride shares, standing in apartment lobbies. A chill moved up her spine. Then the list scrolled. The next line highlighted in red, Maya Brooks, Chicago Fire Department, status, ready. Behind her, the hidden door slammed shut. The alarm lights died. Darkness swallowed the room. For 1 second, Maya heard only her own breath. Then a man's voice came through the ceiling speaker. "Deputy Fire Marshal Brooks," he said softly. "You should not have opened that door." Maya reached for her radio. Static. Her phone. No signal. The screen in front of her changed to a live video feed. Maya saw herself standing in the sealed room. Another camera showed the VIP hallway outside. Another showed the alley entrance. Another showed the front of her apartment building. Her stomach turned cold. The speaker whispered, "You were easier to bring here than expected." Maya backed toward the wall, feeling for the seam. Nothing. The ventilation grate above her clicked. A thin white mist began to curl through the slats. Maya knew too much about smoke, gas, and confined spaces to waste panic. She pulled her jacket collar over her mouth and dropped low. Then the wall exploded open. Not from the seam, from the outside. A black-gloved hand tore through the broken paneling, and the hidden door was ripped off its track with a sound like metal screaming. Red alarm light flooded in. A man stood in the opening, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a black suit tailored so precisely It made the violence in him seem deliberate. His dark hair was swept back, his jaw shadowed with stubble, his eyes black as wet pavement under streetlights. Tattoos climbed from beneath his open collar onto the side of his neck and disappeared beneath his cuffs, reappearing across the backs of his hands, like old sins written in ink. Behind him, men in dark suits filled the corridor, armed, silent, terrified of him. Maya knew his face before he spoke. Adrian Voss, owner of the Ember Room, real estate predator, nightlife king, freight broker, private security investor, alleged heir to the Voss organization, which had survived 3 federal investigations, 2 gang wars, and every man arrogant enough to think Chicago belonged to him. The public called him a businessman. The city called him a mafia boss when it thought he was not listening. His eyes found Maya first, then the chairs, then the cameras, then the screen, with her name glowing red. Every trace of expression left his face. He stepped into the room. Maya lifted her chin, even with gas burning her throat. "This club is shut down," she said. His gaze returned to her. For half a second, she thought he might laugh. He did not. "Evacuate the building," Adrian said. One of his men stared. "Sir?" "Every guest, every employee, every car in the garage. Clear 3 blocks." Maya narrowed her eyes. "That's convenient." Adrian looked at her. "Is it? You own the place. I find a kidnapping room behind your VIP wall, and suddenly you want everyone gone?" He stepped closer. The red light cut across his face, turning him into something carved out of shadow and fire. "If I owned this room," he said calmly, "you would never have found it." The confidence in his voice made her angry, because some part of her believed him. The gas hissed harder. Adrian reached for her. Maya slapped his hand away. "Don't touch me." His eyes dropped to where she had struck him. Every man behind him went still. Adrian did not. A strange flicker passed through his gaze. Not insult, interest. "Then move," he said. "I'm not leaving evidence. You can collect evidence when you are breathing. I can't collect anything if you burn it." His face changed. Barely. But she saw it. The word burn had touched something under the ice. The speaker came alive again. "Touching, cousin. But she is already breathing what I prepared for her." Adrian's head turned slowly toward the ceiling. Maya heard it then. Recognition. Not surprise. Not confusion. "Betrayal." "Julian," Adrian said. The voice over the speaker smiled. "You always did like women who told you no." The gas thickened. Maya's vision blurred at the edges. Adrian moved faster than she expected. He did not grab her wrist. He did not throw her over his shoulder. He stripped off his suit jacket, wrapped it around her shoulders, and covered her mouth and nose with the inner lining. "Low," he ordered. "I said don't. Argue later." A tiny, ridiculous part of her resented that the jacket smelled good. Smoke, cedar, expensive wool, and something cold, like rain on stone. He guided her out of the room, one hand firm at the middle of her back without trapping her. His men shut the gas door behind them. In the corridor, the club's alarms finally roared alive. Beyond the VIP hallway, the Ember Room began to descend into chaos. Music cut out. Lights flashed red. Champagne glasses shattered. Women screamed. Men cursed. Security teams herded guests toward the emergency stairwell, while Adrian's private guards moved with frightening precision, opening doors, breaking locked gates, dragging unconscious drunk patrons away from velvet booths. Maya saw staff using the wrong exits. Her instincts took over. "No," she snapped, shoving past Adrian. "Not that stairwell. It dumps into the alley behind the kitchen. That's a choke point." One of Adrian's guards looked to him. Maya almost shouted. Adrian did not hesitate. "Follow her." The guard obeyed. Maya pointed. "Main corridor to the east exit. Open the service doors, kill the rotating locks, and somebody needs to disable the dry ice system before it confuses the smoke detectors." Adrian watched her give orders in his club, as if she owned the emergency. For the first time since he appeared, something in his eyes shifted from suspicion to fascination. Maya coughed hard. He stepped closer. "You inhaled too much." I've inhaled worse in basement fires owned by men with better paperwork. You insult under pressure. I inspect under pressure. Another alarm shrieked. Sprinklers opened over the main floor, but the water came down black. Not water. Foam, thick, chemical, wrong. Maya's stomach dropped. That's not suppression foam. Adrian's face turned deadly. What is it? Something meant to hide residue. Julian's voice came over the club speakers, rich and amused. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ember Room is closed for a private event. The lights went out. Emergency red remained. Then the exits locked. Every exit. Maya stared. You said evacuate. I did. Then why are the doors locked? Adrian's eyes did not leave the dark club. Because my cousin wants everyone outside to believe I murdered everyone inside. The Ember Room sat beneath a historic hotel in Chicago's River North District, buried under 3 levels of luxury: street-level restaurant, private cigar lounge, and a basement club hidden behind a door that looked like part of the wine cellar wall. Outside, Maya knew police sirens would be gathering. Fire units too, if her radio signal had ever broken through. But the club had been designed to swallow sound, signal, accountability. Inside, nearly 100 people were trapped in red darkness. Adrian moved through it like a man built for catastrophe. He did not shout. He did not panic. He spoke quietly, and people obeyed because his calm felt more dangerous than fear. North stairwell, he told one guard. Cut it open. To the alley, to the street. Break whatever the city makes me pay for. Maya turned on him. You knew there was a street-level fire door behind the north wall. I know every exit in my club, except the secret room. His jaw tightened. Except that. She wanted to keep attacking him. It was easier than noticing he was doing exactly what she would have demanded if he had not done it first. A young waitress stumbled near the bar, coughing. Maya rushed to her, checked her breathing, then helped her toward a clear zone near the coat check. Adrian crouched beside them. The waitress looked at him and began to cry harder. Mr. Voss, I didn't know, she whispered. Julian said it was just cameras, just private security. I didn't know about the chairs. Maya froze. Adrian's expression did not change. What did you see, Elise? The waitress shook her head. I moved files, phones, women's purses. I thought they were blackmailing clients. I thought. A sharp crack split the air. A bullet struck the marble column beside Adrian's head. Maya jerked back. Adrian shoved both women down behind the bar. Gunfire erupted from the upper balcony. Not wild, controlled, suppressed. His own security turned on him. Adrian rose just enough to look over the bar. His face remained cold, but something behind his eyes had gone ancient and violent. Maya grabbed his sleeve. Do not start shooting over civilians. His eyes cut to her. You think I don't know that? I think men like you know too many things too late. That should have angered him. Instead, he looked at her hand on his sleeve, then her face. You are afraid of me, he said. I'm afraid of bullets. You're just one of the people carrying them. His mouth almost moved, not a smile. Something darker. Then he signaled his men with 2 fingers. The remaining loyal guards moved without firing toward the crowd, using overturned tables and booths as cover to redirect trapped guests toward the service corridor. Maya crawled with Elise, keeping her low. Adrian stayed between them and the balcony. Every time she glanced back, he was there, not touching her, not claiming her, but never more than a few steps away. It was unsettling how quickly danger began to shape him around her. At the service corridor, Maya found the emergency panel gutted, wires cut, battery backup removed. She swore. Adrian looked over her shoulder. Can you bypass it? Yes. How long? Depends how badly your cousin wants us dead. The speaker clicked. I prefer alive, Julian said. For her. Maya's skin chilled. Adrian went still beside her. Julian continued. Dead women are useful for headlines. Living women are useful for negotiation. Adrian lifted his gaze to the camera above the corridor. You put her name on your list. Yes. Why? Julian laughed softly. Because she was the only inspector honest enough to find the room. Because the city trusts her. Because the North Shore families hate you enough to buy anything that weakens you. And because once she disappears from your club, every federal agency in America will tear into your empire. Maya's hands froze over the wires. There it was. The trap. Not just the room. Not just the gas. Her. Julian wanted her to disappear from Adrian's property, so the city, the government, and Adrian's enemies would all move against him at once. Adrian's voice dropped. Come for me, Julian. I am. Through her. The camera light blinked out. Maya forced herself back to the panel. If he thinks I'm leverage, he'll keep trying to isolate me. Yes, so don't act like a possessive lunatic and make it easy for him. Adrian looked at her. You have a very precise way of insulting people who are trying to keep you alive. I have a very precise way of staying alive. He watched her strip 2 wires with a pocket tool. You carry that everywhere? I'm a fire marshal in Chicago. People lie to me for a living. The service lock clicked. Maya exhaled. Adrian opened the door, then stopped. He looked down the corridor beyond. Too quiet. Back. Maya heard it then too. A faint hiss. Another gas line. Move! She shouted. The corridor filled with white vapor. Adrian grabbed Elise with one arm, and Maya's wrist with the other. She twisted hard. He released immediately, but his eyes burned. This way, Maya said. The old coal tunnel. Adrian stared. What old coal tunnel? She gave him a look. You know every exit in your club? His silence answered. Maya kicked aside a metal utility panel below the service stairs. Behind it was brick, blackened by history, with a rusted access hatch half hidden by cables. Chicago buildings are liars, she said, but old ones lie consistently. For the first time that night, Adrian looked impressed, without hiding it. Open it. Ask. Gunfire cracked behind them. Adrian's face hardened. Then, with visible effort, he said, Maya, will you open it? The use of her name hit harder than it should have. She turned the wheel. The hatch groaned open. Darkness breathed from below. The old coal tunnel was barely 5 feet high in places, brick-lined, wet, and cold enough to raise goosebumps under Maya's borrowed jacket. Adrian had sent Elise and the first group of guests ahead with 2 guards, following Maya's instructions toward an old utility exit that should open near the alley behind a shuttered bakery. The rest of the club was still being cleared above them, room by room, lock by lock, while Julian's men tried to turn the underground maze into a killing floor. Maya and Adrian moved last, not because he wanted to, because she refused to leave until she knew the path was safe. You should be in front, he said. You should stop giving orders. You are the only one he needs alive. Then he won't shoot me first. Adrian's face in the tunnel light was unreadable. That does not comfort me. It wasn't meant to. A pipe burst somewhere overhead, sending hot water and steam through a crack in the brick. Maya dropped to one knee, checked the flow, then motioned Adrian away from the wall. The room behind the VIP lounge, she said. Who had access? Julian, my head of operations, 2 security leads, a contractor who renovated the east wall last winter. You trusted him. My cousin? Yes. He was quiet for 3 steps. I trusted his greed. Greed is predictable. Apparently not. His eyes cut to her in the dark. Maya held the gaze. She did not know why she kept pushing him. Maybe because fear tasted better when turned into anger. Maybe because he was too calm. Maybe because when he looked at her, she felt seen in a way that was both dangerous and unwanted. Adrian said, Julian has wanted my chair since we were boys. Your chair? The organization. That's an elegant word for crime. It is an accurate word for power. Power built underground tends to burn badly. He looked at the brick ceiling, at the old pipes, at the bones of the city above them. My father used to say the same. Maya had not expected that. Was he right? Adrian's mouth tightened. He died in a fire. The tunnel seemed to narrow. Maya stopped walking. Adrian kept moving for 2 steps, then halted. What happened? He did not turn around. Not tonight. That means it matters tonight. His shoulders lifted with a breath he did not want her to hear. My father kept a club before the Ember Room. Smaller. Dirtier. Men smoked too much and bribed inspectors. He locked exits because he was afraid rivals would enter through them. Maya's chest tightened. Adrian continued, voice cold enough to hide the wound. One night, the kitchen went up. 23 people died, my father among them. My mother survived long enough to tell me that locked doors kill more surely than enemies. Maya swallowed. And you built a club underground. I built one with exits. Then let someone turn it into a trap. His jaw hardened. Yes. The honesty hit her harder than denial would have. Above them, the ceiling trembled. Dust fell. Julian's voice came through an old maintenance speaker mounted in the tunnel. Touching family history, you always did like confession after catastrophe. Adrian looked at the speaker. Maya looked at him. You're wired into the old tunnels too? I was not. Julian laughed. You inherited everything, Adrian. Even the blind spots. Lights flickered on in the tunnel ahead. Security footage appeared on a small monitor bolted to the wall. The sealed room. The chairs. Women sitting in them. Not dead. Terrified. Questioned. Photographed. Some crying. Some drugged. Then a frame froze. A woman with dark hair and bruised wrists looked directly into the camera. Adrian went motionless. Maya saw his face and knew before he spoke. Who is she? His voice was barely audible. Rosalia. Julian answered for him. His fiancée. Maya looked at Adrian. The word landed like a hand between her ribs. Fiancé. Of course. Men like Adrian did not belong to silence and shadows alone. They belonged to alliances, contracts, women chosen for bloodline usefulness, and photographed in diamonds. Adrian's eyes stayed on the frozen image. She disappeared 8 months ago, Julian said. You thought the Moretti family took her. You almost started a war over it. Maya stepped closer to the monitor. Rosalia did not look like a woman waiting for rescue. She looked like a woman waiting for the camera to confirm something. Maya narrowed her eyes. She's not afraid enough. Adrian turned to her. What? Maya pointed. Her wrists are bruised, but the chair strap isn't tight. Her right hand is free enough to adjust her hair. She knows where the camera is. Julian's voice sharpened. Careful, Inspector. Maya ignored him. She wasn't held in that room. She performed in it. Adrian stared at the screen. The smallest crack appeared in his control. Julian laughed, but the sound had lost some pleasure. Rosalia always said you were slow when it came to beautiful women. Maya should not have felt the sting. She did anyway. Adrian noticed. His gaze snapped to her. Maya, don't. I did not love her. I didn't ask. No, he said. But you heard fiancé and stepped away from me. The tunnel fell into a silence, too intimate for the danger around them. Maya looked at him. I stepped away from a man whose almost wife may be part of a kidnapping room. His eyes held hers. She was an alliance, nothing more. You don't owe me an explanation. Yes, he said, too quietly. I do. The words unsettled her more than the gunfire. Above them, something exploded. The tunnel shook. Maya stumbled. Adrian caught her before she hit the wall. His hand closed around her upper arm, firm but careful. His body angled over hers as brick dust fell around them. For 1 second, his face was inches from hers, red emergency glow washing over the hard line of his jaw. He almost touched her cheek, stopped. His hand curled into a fist at his side instead. Maya saw the restraint, felt it. Julian's voice returned, low and cruel. She is not Rosalia, cousin. She will not pretend to love you while selling your secrets. She will hate you honestly. That is worse, isn't it? Adrian's eyes stayed on Maya. She can hate me and still leave alive. Maya's breath caught. The tunnel lights cut out. Then, green emergency strips flickered along the floor. A countdown appeared on the monitor. Gas flood, 18 minutes. Maya stepped away from Adrian. Where does that tunnel lead? Sub-basement 3. Old wine storage. Under my office. Then that's where Julian's control node is. Adrian's gaze sharpened. You know that how? Gas systems don't run from VIP walls. They run from mechanical spaces. He wants to flood the club and tunnels, but he needs the main manifold close to your private infrastructure. Adrian looked at her with something dangerous and almost reverent. You see buildings the way I see enemies. No, Maya said. Buildings are more honest. Underscore. They reached the sub-basement through a rusted utility stair that opened behind Adrian's private office. The office was not what Maya expected. No throne-like chair. No wall of guns. No vulgar display. It was dark wood, black leather, old maps of Chicago, framed architectural drawings, and a single photograph on the desk. A burned storefront from decades ago. Firefighters standing in gray dawn, their helmets lowered. Adrian saw her looking. My father's club, he said. Maya touched the edge of the frame. You kept it. To remember what locked doors cost, and still missed one behind your VIP wall. His mouth tightened. You do not soften anything, do you? Fire doesn't. A faint sound came from behind the bookcase. Maya froze. Adrian was already in front of her. The bookcase opened. A woman stepped out in a white dress under a long black coat. Rosalia. She was beautiful in a cold, expensive way. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, red lips, diamond earrings glittering like tiny weapons. Her wrists were unmarked now. Adrian did not move. Rosalia, she smiled. Maya was faster than Julian said. Maya's stomach sank. Adrian's voice went flat. You helped him. I helped myself. Rosalia stepped into the office, calm as a woman arriving late to dinner. You are going to end the old contracts, Adrian. Move money above ground. Protect women who should have been used for leverage. Relocate witnesses. Pay families to disappear instead of bleed. Very noble. Very inconvenient. Maya looked at Adrian. There it was. The secret under the secret. The missing women list was not only prey. Some of them had been protected. Moved. Hidden. Given new lives by the same man whose club now looked like a trap for them. Rosalia continued. Julian understood what you forgot. Fear is profitable. Mercy is expensive. Adrian's expression remained calm, but Maya could feel the violence in him, like heat from a closed furnace. You turned my network into a hunting list, he said. We monetized your weakness. Maya stepped from behind him. That sealed room had my name. Rosalia's eyes swept over her body with elegant contempt. Yes, the honest inspector. The city's reliable woman. Curvy, underestimated, morally rigid. Perfect for public sympathy. Perfect for scandal. Once you vanished from Adrian's club, every agency would come. His rivals would strike. Julian would inherit whatever survived. And you? Rosalia smiled. I marry the winner. Adrian moved, not toward Rosalia, toward Maya. He took one step sideways, placing his body between them without looking away from his former fiancée. Rosalia noticed. Her smile deepened. Oh, that is new. Maya hated the heat that rose in her face. Adrian's voice was soft. Leave her out of this. She is this. Rosalia lifted a small remote. Maya recognized the diagram on the tiny screen. Gas manifold. Her heartbeat spiked. Put it down, Maya said. Rosalia's eyes flicked to her. Or what? You'll issue me a citation. No, Maya said. I'll tell him exactly which wall to break, so your escape route fills with poison first. Rosalia's smile faded. Adrian looked at Maya. For one heartbeat, amid betrayal and gas and death, he looked almost proud. Then Rosalia pressed the remote. The building groaned. Somewhere below, valves opened. Maya grabbed the old office map from Adrian's wall. I need the mechanical plan. Adrian crossed to a hidden drawer, pulled out a leather tube, and tossed her a rolled blueprint. Original building. Good. Rosalia backed toward the bookcase passage. Adrian moved to follow. Maya snapped. No. He stopped. She'll run. She wants you to chase her. Rosalia laughed from the dark passage. Listen to your inspector, Adrian. Then she vanished. Adrian's hands curled at his sides. Every instinct in him wanted pursuit. Maya could see it. The predator, the betrayed man, the mafia boss who solved problems by reaching them and ending them. She stepped close enough that he had to look at her. Do you want revenge or control? His eyes burned. Both. Pick life. He stared at her. The moment stretched. Then he looked away first. Where do we go? Maya spread the blueprint across his desk. Main manifold is under the old kitchen line. If we shut it there, gas stops flooding the club. But Julian probably locked the valves remotely. Can you override? With tools, time, and a miracle. How much time? She looked at the countdown on the office monitor. 11 minutes. Less than I want. Adrian opened a cabinet and removed a heavy fire axe mounted behind glass. Maya raised an eyebrow. Decorative? Sentimental? Can you use it? His eyes lifted to hers. Ask the wall. Underscore. The old kitchen level beneath the Ember Room had not been used in decades. Grease ghosts still clung to the tile. Rusted ovens lined the walls. Copper pipes ran overhead like veins. Emergency lights flickered weakly through chemical haze seeping under the doors. Maya moved fast. Blueprint in one hand, flashlight in the other. Adrian followed with the axe and 2 loyal guards, though she suspected he would have preferred to carry the entire ceiling on his shoulders rather than let anyone else walk near her. The gas was heavier now, not immediately fatal in small exposure, but designed to disorient, weaken, and panic. In a crowded club with locked exits, it would kill through fear as much as chemistry. Maya reached the manifold cage. Steel mesh, electronic lock, no time. She pointed. There. Adrian swung the axe. The first blow shook the room. The second split the lock housing. The third ripped the cage open. Maya dropped to her knees in front of the valve bank. Colored lines, old labels, new illegal bypass. Julian had tied the gas flow into the club's decorative smoke system and emergency ventilation. Elegant. Evil. Effective. She began shutting valves manually. One resisted. She braced both hands and pulled. Nothing. Adrian crouched behind her. Let me. No. Too much force snaps the stem. He paused. She felt him close behind her. Heat and tension and restraint. Then tell me how. Hand over mine. Slow pressure. Do not yank. For a second, neither moved. Then Adrian placed his hand over hers. His palm was large, calloused, tattooed, warm even in the cold basement. Their fingers closed around the valve together. Maya felt the power in him held back by a thread. Slow, she whispered. He obeyed. The valve turned. The hiss in the pipes weakened. Maya released a breath. Again. Together, they shut the second line. Then the third. The fourth line sparked. Maya jerked back as flames snapped along the pipe seam. Adrian pulled her against him and turned, taking the brief heat across his shoulder. Not enough to burn badly, but enough to singe his jacket. Stop doing that, she snapped. Preventing you from catching fire? Using your body like equipment. His eyes flashed. It is the most useful thing I own. The words hit with a force neither of them had time to examine. Above them, a loudspeaker clicked. Julian. Adrian. Your guests are nearly out. Noble work. But you forgot the cameras. Monitors in the kitchen lit up. Live feeds. Crowds outside the Ember Room. Police barricades. Fire trucks. News vans. Then footage from the hidden room appeared on every screen. The chairs. The women. Maya. Adrian. Edited clips, stripped of context. Julian's voice continued. In 5 minutes, every phone in Chicago receives proof that Adrian Voss ran a private prison under his club. Maya looked at Adrian. His face was stone, but she understood the trap. The truth would be buried beneath the appearance of truth. Even if they survived, the footage could destroy the protection network, expose relocated women, and trigger retaliations across the city. How do we stop the upload? She asked. Adrian answered. Server core under the main floor. Where? He looked at her. The old furnace room. Maya almost laughed, but nothing was funny. Of course your criminal server core is in a furnace room. It was convenient. It's about to be poetic, one of his guards said. Boss, if we destroy the servers, we lose the ledgers, accounts, route maps, contacts, everything. Adrian kept looking at Maya. She understood before he said it. The Ember Room was not just a club. It was his nerve center, his surveillance, his leverage, his money, his protection routes, his blackmail against worse men, his proof against rivals, his empire beneath Chicago. To save the women, he might have to destroy the thing that made him untouchable. Julian knew that. Rosalia knew that. Maya knew it now too. Adrian's voice was quiet. "Can fire stop the upload?" Maya stared at him. "A hot enough fire can stop anything." "Controlled? In this building? With illegal gas lines, compromised ventilation, trapped servers, and half the suppression system rerouted? Yes or no?" She looked toward the ceiling, seeing the building in her mind. Club above, kitchen below, furnace room to the south, coal tunnel west, ventilation shafts running up through the hotel's abandoned service stack. "Yes," she said, "but we have to burn it from the furnace room inward, vent heat through the old chimney, and keep the street-level structure from flashing over." Adrian's eyes darkened. "You can do that?" "I can try," Julian's voice returned, almost delighted. "You would burn your own crown for her." Adrian looked at the nearest camera. "No," he said, "for every woman you thought was inventory." Then his gaze moved to Maya, and for her. Maya's chest tightened. She hated that the words reached her. She hated more that she wanted them to. Underscore. The furnace room was hotter than it should have been. Not from fire yet, from servers. Rows of black cabinets hummed between old brick walls, their blue lights blinking like trapped stars. Thick cables ran through holes drilled into antique masonry. A private generator throbbed behind a steel barrier. At the center stood Julian Voss. He wore a gray suit, no tie, one hand resting on a console, the other holding nothing visible. He looked younger than Adrian by a few years, handsome in a softer, crueler way. His smile was family-shaped and empty. Rosalia stood beside him in her white dress and black coat. Two traitors with one empire between them. Julian looked at Maya first. "You are impressive. Don't. Most people panic in enclosed spaces. I panic productively." Rosalia gave a soft laugh. "I see why he likes you." Adrian's face did not change. "I should have killed you years ago," he said to Julian. "Yes," Julian said. "But you were busy becoming principled." He made the word sound obscene. Maya scanned the room. Server cabinets, generator fuel line, old furnace stack, ventilation damper, chemical suppressant tank, 2 emergency exits, 1 likely fake, 1 locked. Heat sensors disabled. Upload clock on the central screen. Global release, 0314. Julian followed her eyes. "She's calculating whether she can burn it without killing us." Adrian said. "She can." Maya muttered. "I love being volunteered for impossible arson math." Julian smiled. "You do understand, Inspector, that Adrian's protection network was never clean. Some women he helped, some men he buried, some witnesses he bought before the government could. If I release these files, he falls. If he burns them, he loses proof, money, leverage, and every route he used to move people safely. Either way, his empire bleeds." Maya looked at Adrian. "Is that true?" "Yes. No excuse, no polish, just truth. And the women? Some will be exposed if the files release. And if the servers burn, some routes vanish, some funds disappear. I rebuild slower." Julian laughed. "You rebuild nothing. Without the Ember Room, the North Shore families eat you alive." Adrian stepped forward. "Then they will choke." Julian lifted his hand. A trigger. Maya saw the attached wire leading to the generator barrier. "Bomb?" she asked. "Thermite charges," Julian said. "Enough to destroy the servers without your careful little burn plan. Enough to take the room with them. So you plan to destroy it anyway." "If Adrian refused to give me control," Rosalia sighed. "Men and inheritance." So loud. Adrian's gaze flicked to her. "You were never going to marry me." "No, but I was going to own what you were too sentimental to keep." Maya took one step toward the old furnace panel. Julian's eyes snapped to her. "Stop." She did. Adrian did not look at her, but she felt him track every inch. Julian tilted his head. "You think he loves you?" Maya's pulse jumped. Adrian's silence changed. The room seemed to listen. Maya forced a cold smile. "I think he hates losing." Julian laughed. "Smart answer." Rosalia looked between them. Not true, though. Adrian's voice dropped. Do not speak to her. Or what? Rosalia asked. You'll burn your kingdom? Kneel at her boots? Beg the fire marshal to certify your soul? Maya moved while Rosalia spoke. Small step, another. A hand span closer to the furnace panel. Julian noticed too late. He lifted the trigger. Adrian threw the axe. It struck the console, not Julian, shattering the screen and sending sparks across the floor. Maya yanked the furnace damper open. Heat roared upward. Adrian drove into Julian, slamming him away from the trigger. Rosalia reached for a hidden weapon in her coat, but Maya grabbed the nearest fire extinguisher and discharged it straight into her face. Rosalia screamed, stumbling backward. Policy friendly enough for you? Maya snapped. Adrian almost looked at her. Almost. Then Julian struck him in the ribs with a knife. Maya's breath caught. Adrian absorbed it like pain was an inconvenience, and hit Julian hard enough to send him into a server rack. Tiny blood bloomed at Adrian's side, dark against his shirt. Maya moved toward him. Don't, he said. Stop giving me orders while bleeding. Julian crawled toward the trigger. Maya saw the wire. Not to the generator. To the suppressant tank. If triggered, it would release the chemical gas into the furnace room and force them to run before the upload stopped. She grabbed the broken axe handle and pinned the wire to the floor. Adrian, now. He understood. He seized Julian by the back of his suit and dragged him away from the console. Julian fought, but Adrian's control was gone now. Not wild, but absolute. He slammed his cousin to the floor and pinned him with one knee. You used women as bait, Adrian said. Julian spat blood. You used them as guilt. For 1 second, Maya feared Adrian would kill him. She saw it in his hand. The desire. The old method. The simple end. Adrian, she said. He looked at her. She shook her head once. Let him face what he built. His breathing was hard. His eyes were black fire. Then he pulled a steel restraint from his guard's belt and locked Julian's wrist to the furnace pipe. Julian laughed raggedly. You think mercy impresses her? Adrian leaned close. No. I think survival will punish you longer. Maya reached the server row. Upload is still running. Burn it, Adrian said. That means your club goes with it. He looked around the furnace room, the servers, the walls, the old bones of his underground kingdom. Then at Maya, she saw the full progression in his face. Suspicion, fascination, protectiveness, denial, dependence, obsession, fear, and something beyond fear, choice. My mother was right, he said. Locked doors kill. Maya swallowed. Then opened them with fire. Together they set the burn. Not an explosion. Controlled destruction. Maya opened the old chimney draft and angled the heat path upward. Adrian cut the power to the wrong ventilation loops and helped her prime the furnace line. His guards pulled the last guests out through the coal tunnel. Smoke began curling through the server cabinets. Julian stopped laughing. Rosalia, coughing and half-blind from extinguisher powder, stared as the first server rack caught flame. You're destroying everything, she said. Adrian looked at her. No, just the part of me you understood. The upload clock froze at 0022. Then the servers went dark. Fire climbed the racks. The Ember Room above began to burn from the heart outward. Maya grabbed Adrian's arm. We have to go. He looked toward Julian. Maya followed his gaze. Julian was restrained near the furnace pipe, conscious, terrified now as smoke thickened. Adrian's expression closed. Maya understood the test, not from her, from himself. She said, You said locked doors kill. For a moment, Adrian looked like he hated her for making him better than his anger. Then he crossed to Julian, broke the pipe restraint with the axe head, and dragged him toward the exit. Julian coughed, choking. You should have left me. Yes, Adrian said. But he did not. Underscore. The old coal tunnel became a river of smoke and red light. Maya led because the building was hers now. Not legally. Not emotionally. Practically. She knew where air wanted to go. Where heat would rise. Where panic would bottleneck. Where old Chicago brick would hold. And where it would fail. Adrian followed with one arm around Julian's collar, half dragging his traitor cousin. Blood from the knife wound darkened his shirt. His jaw was clenched, but he did not slow. Rosalia had vanished in the smoke. Maya did not like that. Above them, the Ember Room burned. Not wildly, not yet, but enough. Enough to destroy the servers, the hidden room, the chairs, the cameras, the velvet walls, the private booths, the blackmail archives, the power that had once made Adrian untouchable under the city. They reached the tunnel intersection. A blast struck from the side. Maya flew into the brick wall. For a second, the world became white noise. Then hands were on her. Adrian's. Maya. His voice was different. Not calm, not controlled. Broken at the edges. She blinked up at him through smoke. "I'm awake." His hand hovered near her cheek. This time, he did touch her. 2 fingers against her jaw, checking her pulse with unbearable care. Then he seemed to realize what he had done, and began to pull back. Maya caught his wrist. Not to stop him. Not exactly. Just for one breath. His eyes locked onto hers. The tunnel roared around them. Gunfire sounded from the far passage. Rosalia stepped through smoke with one of Julian's remaining men, weapon low but ready. Julian sagged against the wall, laughing weakly. "Still trying to save everyone?" Rosalia called. Adrian rose slowly. Maya pushed herself up behind him. Rosalia's gaze moved to Adrian's wound, then to Maya. "You'll ruin him," she said to Maya. Maya coughed once. "He seems ahead of schedule." Adrian's mouth twitched despite the smoke. Rosalia's expression hardened. "You think he chose you? He chooses anything that lets him feel less like his father." Adrian went still. Maya stepped beside him. "He chose to unlock a door," she said. "That's more than you did." Rosalia lifted the weapon. Adrian moved to shield Maya. Maya grabbed a fire hose from the wall cabinet and twisted the old valve. Nothing. Rosalia smiled. Maya kicked the auxiliary pressure lever. The hose came alive like a striking animal. Water slammed into Rosalia and her man, knocking them off balance. Adrian crossed the distance, disarmed the man, and forced Rosalia to the ground without firing. Maya kept the stream steady until Rosalia stopped fighting. Adrian looked back at her. Water, smoke, blood, red light. For one impossible second, they looked almost like something mythic beneath the burning city. Then the ceiling cracked. "Move," Maya shouted. They dragged Julian and Rosalia through the final tunnel hatch as the passage behind them partially collapsed. Cold Chicago rain hit Maya's face. They emerged into an alley, lit by flashing fire trucks, police lights, and the orange pulse of flames rising from the underground club vents. Guests huddled under emergency blankets. Fire crews advanced with hoses. Adrian's men stood down as uniformed officers moved in. The Ember Room burned beneath the street. News cameras caught everything. Adrian Voss carrying his restrained cousin out of smoke. Rosalia dragged coughing behind him, and Maya Brooks stumbling beside them in his black suit jacket, soot on her face, eyes blazing. A reporter shouted, "Mr. Voss, did you know about the room under your club?" Adrian stopped. His guards tried to move him forward. He did not move. Maya looked at him. This was the next door, the public one. He could lie. Men like him survived by making truth expensive. Adrian turned toward the cameras. "The room was built inside my property by people I trusted," he said. "Women were targeted. Evidence was hidden. My organization failed to see it, and that failure is mine." The alley went silent, except for rain and fire. He continued, "Deputy Fire Marshal Maya Brooks found what I did not. Tonight, the Ember Room burns because locked doors kill. Let the city inspect the ashes." Maya stared at him. Not forgiveness, not absolution, but something shifted. A mafia boss had just confessed failure on camera because she had shown him where the fire was. His eyes found hers through the rain. The expression there was not soft. It was worse. It was devoted. Not safe. Not simple. Devoted. The aftermath swallowed Chicago for weeks. The Ember Room became national news. The luxury underground club. The hidden locked room, the missing women list, the mafia boss who burned his own headquarters, the curvy fire marshal who uncovered the trap and walked out alive wearing his jacket. Maya hated the footage. She especially hated the still image everyone used. Her in the alley, soot-covered and furious. Adrian standing half a step behind her with blood on his shirt, and murder still held on a leash in his eyes. The internet called it romantic. Maya called it evidence. Julian Voss survived and began trading information within 48 hours. Rosalia tried to claim she had been coerced, until Maya's documentation and the recovered tunnel footage proved otherwise. Several women from the list were found alive under new identities that Julian and Rosalia had planned to sell. Others came forward quietly, confirming that Adrian's network had once helped them escape worse men before his cousin corrupted it. That was the part Maya could not easily file away. Adrian Voss was guilty of many things, but the locked room was not his. And when the choice came, he burned the power that protected him to save the women it endangered. 3 weeks after the fire, Maya returned to the ruins under city supervision. The Ember Room no longer looked like luxury. It looked honest. Charred beams, exposed brick, melted glass, flooded floors. The VIP wall was gone. The sealed room behind it had been cut open by investigators, photographed, measured, emptied. Maya stood in the ashes wearing a hard hat and a respirator hanging at her throat. Adrian appeared at the edge of the inspection zone. No entourage, no velvet rope. No black suit jacket this time. Just a dark coat, open collar, tattoos visible at his throat and hands, a healing wound beneath his shirt where Julian's knife had found him. A uniformed officer moved to stop him. Maya raised one hand. "It's okay." Adrian's eyes met hers. "Is it?" "No," he nodded. That was one thing she had begun to understand about him. He did not ask easy questions expecting easy comfort. He stepped carefully over burned debris and stopped several feet away, not close, waiting. "I brought the final access records," he said. "For the investigation? For you." She took the folder but did not open it. "Why me?" "Because you will read them without caring what my lawyers want. That's not a compliment. It is from me." Maya looked down at the folder. "What happens to the club? It doesn't reopen. Something else goes here?" "Yes." She braced herself. "A restaurant? A private lounge? Another beautiful room with locked doors?" "No." He looked toward the burned space where the hidden room had been. "A public fire safety training center. For nightclub staff, inspectors, building managers, anyone who thinks alarms are decorative." Maya stared at him. "Funded by you?" "Yes." "Controlled by you?" "No." Her throat tightened unexpectedly. "Who controls it?" "The city. A board. Survivors, if they want seats. And you just write checks. I am learning the romance of being useful from a distance." She almost smiled. Almost. Then she looked at the blackened wall. "You don't get absolution because you built a training center. I know. You don't get to make me the symbol of your redemption. I know. You don't get to appear in my life because you're curious what I'll do next." His eyes darkened. "I know. Do you?" "Yes." The simplicity of it made the air between them too quiet. Maya looked at him. "What do you want, Adrian?" His answer did not come quickly. That mattered. "I want to know how to stand near you without turning protection into possession." Her heart moved before she could stop it. "Dangerous. Very dangerous. You should practice somewhere else." "I have. And? I dislike it." This time, she did smile. Small. Unwilling, he saw it like a starving man sees light under a door. But he did not move closer. "May I ask you something?" he said. "You just did." His mouth almost curved. "May I ask another?" She crossed her arms. "Yes." "When you found your name on that list, what did you think?" The smile faded. Maya looked back at the ruined room. She remembered the red letters, the gas, the cameras, the awful intimacy of being watched before she knew she was in danger. "I thought," she said slowly, "that someone had turned my job into a way to erase me." Adrian's jaw tightened. "I will never let, don't." He stopped. Maya turned to him. That's the line. You don't get to promise never. You don't control the world. His face changed. Pain and discipline, together. No, he said. I don't. You can promise something else. What? That when you are afraid, you won't lock the door and call it love. The words landed in the burned club like a final inspection report. Adrian looked at the ashes, then back at her. I promise. She believed he meant it. That was not the same as trusting him, but it was more than she had expected from a man who owned darkness under the city and chose to set it on fire. Months passed. Winter softened into a cold Chicago spring. The Ember Room became a construction site again, but this time the permits were public, the exits obvious, the alarm system redundant enough to make Maya almost emotional. The training center's first wall was poured in pale concrete. Maya's department pretended not to notice that every time she arrived for review, Adrian's car was parked half a block away and never closer. He did not approach unless she acknowledged him. That restraint did more damage to her defenses than arrogance ever could have. On the night the first exterior sign was installed, Maya stayed after the crews left. Rain fell lightly over the alley, turning streetlights gold on wet pavement. The old entrance to the Ember Room had been removed. In its place stood glass doors that opened outward, panic bars gleaming silver. Above them, new lettering waited under a tarp. Adrian stood beneath the opposite awning. Maya saw him and sighed. You know lurking is not a love language. He stepped into the rain. I was told distance was respectful. Distance and lurking are cousins. I will revise. She shook her head, but warmth moved through her despite the cold. He approached only halfway. The sign goes up tonight? He asked. Tomorrow morning. What does it say? She looked up at the covered letters. Brooks Public Fire Safety Center. Adrian went completely still. Maya glanced at him. That wasn't my idea. It was the board's? The survivors. He looked away. Rain traced down his face, catching on the healing scar near his jaw. For all his power, for all the violence still in him, he looked suddenly like a man standing outside a door he had no right to open. Maya stepped closer. Adrian. His eyes returned to hers. I'm not your absolution. I know. I'm not your reward. I know. I'm not proof you're good. No. She stopped in front of him. But you did something that mattered. His breath changed. Just slightly. For him, it was almost a confession. Maya reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small brass object, a key. Not to her apartment, not to her heart. Nothing so easy. She held it up. Training Center Inspection Access. Board approved. It means you can enter only during scheduled oversight hours, with a city representative present. He stared at it, then at her. That may be the least romantic key ever given. It's extremely romantic if you care about compliance. The corner of his mouth moved. There he was, not softened, not harmless, but human enough to stand in the rain and almost smile at a key with restrictions. He took it carefully, his tattooed fingers brushing her palm. The contact was brief, electric. His eyes lifted to hers. May I stand closer? Maya's heart gave one hard, traitorous beat. Yes. He stepped close enough that the rain fell around them instead of between them, not touching. Waiting, always waiting now, and somehow that was the thing that undid her. May I touch you? He asked. Maya looked at the man who had once owned locked rooms and now asked permission in an alley where every exit opened outward. Yes. His hand rose slowly to her cheek. Warm, careful. Possessive only in the way a prayer is possessive of hope. Maya leaned into the touch before she could talk herself out of it. The kiss was not soft at first. It was restrained, a controlled burn. Then it deepened, not into conquest, but into relief, into rain and smoke memory, into every door they had opened and every secret they had dragged into light. When they parted, Adrian rested his forehead near hers without taking more. Still inspecting me? He asked. Constantly. Am I failing? Not tonight. His eyes closed briefly, as if those two words meant more than forgiveness. Behind them, the new glass doors reflected their silhouettes. The curvy fire marshal who had found a locked room and refused to be erased. and the Mafia Boss who had burned his underground empire because she taught him the difference between protection and possession. Above the entrance, the covered sign shifted in the wind. Tomorrow, the city would see a new name where Pam Ember, the Ember Room, once hid its sins. Tonight, in the rain, every door opened outward.